This week on the Analog Circle podcast, PlayStation is getting sued for bad practices. And when we go over this story, you will understand more why we need competition and not have Sony out here acting a fool on their own. Phil Spencer gives an update on a game that we haven't seen or heard about in years. And he also gave updates on 2 other studios as well. It's a bit of news circulating around saying that there will be no Grand Theft Auto 7 when GTA 6 is released. Oh, we got to talk about that immediately. And we get an extremely small, minuscule update on Project Orion, aka Cyberpunk 2077 Part 2. But all of these stories can be found here and more in episode 246 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Keon Mitchell, and welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Sit down and relax, because we're going to have a great conversation today. And if you're traveling, hopefully we can accompany you to your destination. Now, as always, if you want to be a part of listener feedback, you can do it 2 different ways. You can either call in at 443-627-9087 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is simply theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and let's get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So as I said previously, I want to get things started with this story that's circulating. I actually found this story on sportskeeda.com. Now, it's the story talking about that once GTA 6 releases, don't expect for Grand Theft Auto 7 to release. Now, this is coming from a very reliable source, actually. This guy actually follows a lot of what Rockstar does. Now, his name on Twitter, or some people call it X, is at MVBRR. Now, we said this on February 23rd. 2025, that fans, again, shouldn't expect a GTA 7 after the release of Grand Theft Auto 6. They reported Rockstar's focus on Rome, an upcoming project tied closely to the upcoming game. Now, of course, again, this is all based on rumors, so take it all with a mustard seed of truth.
Rumor has it is something that only I know.
All right. So as can be seen in the aforementioned post, at MVBRR reported that Project Rome, which stands for Rockstar Online Modding Engine, is one of the projects that GTA 6 fans can expect in the near future. Now, when describing what it is and what it influences, the insider said, and this was translated via Google, he said, quote, "It's a creative vision for the future of GTA Online to encompass UGC tools per user." Now, their statement suggests the possibility of accessing user-generated content in the next online virtual world of Grand Theft Auto, fan-dubbed as GTA 6 Online. Now, when the follow-up posts on X at MVBRR shared their concerns about the project and its future. So according to them, Rockstar Games, or its parent company, we all know was Take-Two Interactive, could start charging users for their mod, which was, of course, translated by Google. Now, this is what he said. This is the translation. He says, quote, "But will it work? Well, I don't know. Expect a bed of roses until the release of GTA 6. But after that, I won't put my hands in the fire. Take-Two and Rockstar can be arrogant enough to approve or ban user-made mods and even charge money per mod." End of quote. Now, in the follow-up X post, MVBRR asked fans not to expect GTA 7 anymore. Instead, they could have, quote, online storytelling mode, end of quote, for quite a while. He said, then now this is, of course, again, translated via Google. He said, quote, don't expect a GTA 7. Not anymore. The beginning of the concept of ideas for such a GTA 7 would be in a cold place. But Take-Two and Rockstar's focus is to continue making a profit on their multiplayer. You can have online storytelling mode for quite a while. End of quote. Ho! My question is, again, we don't know. We know that GTA 6 hasn't even come out yet. We haven't seen another trailer. We haven't heard any official news. We don't know when another trailer is being released. We still don't even know, quite honestly, if Grand Theft Auto 6 is even going to make it out this year. Yeah, we hear Zelnick out there telling the shareholders and everybody, yes, Grand Theft Auto 6 is releasing this year. Yeah, we're still on track. We've heard that a couple of times, but still, we're about to be in March. And this is still, to be fair, this is still very early in the year. But if you're releasing around September, sometime maybe October, somewhere around in that area, I would think that, and I understand that it's Grand Theft Auto, so it's going to sell, even if it came out in the summer, it's going to sell like gangbusters. So it doesn't need a whole lot of promotion or, a whole lot of different trailers to hype people up. Everybody is already extremely excited for this game. But I would just imagine that if it is coming out sometime soon, then maybe we'll, who knows? Maybe we'll hear some stuff later on this year, sometime over the summer. I mean, of course, we'll see. I don't expect them to be at any E3-esque store. I'm about to say story. Golly, any E3-esque showcases over the summer, but maybe we get something. But my question is, again, do you think this is real? Now, when he talks about that Project Rome, basically, the game being online and being able to have these single player experiences actually take place online, where you don't necessarily need a new Grand Theft Auto to actually get these kind of storytelling modes that can happen online. That makes me wonder, could it be a possibility? Because I do remember at one point in time, we all remember this, that at one point, Rockstar had different single player DLC not story modes, but single player DLC that was ready, that were going to tell a story mode, or whatever the case you may call it. Some people call it, what do they call it? Good grief. Campaign. Golly, some people call it a campaign mode. But we know that they did have some of those ready. They were prepared, and all of a sudden they got scrapped. GTA Online took off, and they was off to the races. They said, the heck with that. We're going to stick with this. So knowing the success that they have had thus far with the online community, the money that they have brought in, the millions upon millions of dollars that they have seen from Grand Theft Auto Online, and them not having to release a game in 12 years. It has been 12 years that they have been living off of the back of Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, granted, they've, in that same span of time, had Red Dead Redemption 2 released. They've had multiple 2Ks released in that time frame, as well as some other games under the Take-Two banner. But Grand Theft Auto, as far as that franchise goes, it has been 12 years strong, I might add, that game has been bringing in constant revenue. So why wouldn't they, if they have found a formula that works, where they don't have to do something every 5 or 6 years, but they have a formula where as long as we continue to update this game online, people are going to continue to come through. Why not make it so once Grand Theft Auto 6 releases, we're done with that. We're done with all of the GTA 6s, GTA 7s, 8s, 9s. From now on, we're going to have everything up underneath this banner of Rome. So if you want to play these single player experiences, hey, you're going to have to get online. Now, you might have to play it through GTA 6 to get these new stories. But for the people that don't want to be online playing and, buying up all of these different mansions and clothes and cars, then we'll just make sure that we patch that in for y'all. That'll be something for y'all to play. And we don't have to spend a lot of money on a budget of 300 million, 400 million, whatever the case may be, to make a totally new game. But we'll just have you guys stay in this Rome, as it were, situation for years and years to come. And all we'll do is drip feed you. Oh man, drip feed you story content. I'm going to tell you, I kind of believe that this is something that Rockstar would do. Well, not even necessarily Rockstar per se, but Take-Two. I mean, this is the same company that said that games like Grand Theft Auto 6 should be $100. Because if you're talking about how much it costs to, per dollar per hour or whatever the case may be, how we tried to break it down, Strauss Zelnick, he thinks this should be $100. So why wouldn't the same company turn around and say, hey, look, man, we can do this a lot cheaper. We can have these guys be at our beck and call by just releasing DLC, story-driven DLC, to have them come into the game. We don't need to do a Grand Theft Auto 7. We'll just have them playing around in this Rome kind of situation, and we'll just keep it there. I'm going to tell you, I believe this. Again, we don't have any concrete statements from Rockstar themselves, but this guy seems to be pretty reliable on what he talks about. His name is MVBR. You can follow him, like I said, over on X, or if you call it Twitter. He's over there, and this was his breakdown. I tell you, no Grand Theft Auto 7. Would that be something that you guys, and I hate when people ask these questions, hey guys, how do you feel about such and such thing? Listen, whatever. If you want to answer it, that's cool. But for me, man, I would hate this. It's no way. I've never supported Grand Theft Online. I want to play single player games, brothers and sisters. That's all I want to play, is single player games. That's it. So even if they had a mode that was a storytelling mode and it was online, I still don't think I would jump on, because I don't have PS Plus. I don't have Xbox Live, because they don't appeal to me. That is not my gaming habits. I don't go online. So yeah, that would be Grand Theft Auto 6 would be my last stop with the whole GTA situation. If they're not making an official Grand Theft Auto 7, I will not be there. But I am truly curious to know, would you support something like that? I really am. I do want to know. But I just think it's kind of corny when people do ask sometimes. But I am curious to know if that's something that you would be interested in. Would you support Grand Theft Auto 7 being online, and that's the only way you could play stories and things of that nature? Because in my mind, I'm saying it's not going to be cohesive. I don't see how it could be a cohesive story if you're constantly having to have this story be downloaded, that story be downloaded. I don't know how cohesive that's going to be. And then that's going to get a little expensive. If you got to pay, let's say $13, $15, well, shucks, we're in 2025, maybe $30 per DLC. Man, you're talking about 2, 3, maybe 4 DLCs. Man, brother, you well over $100+ just trying to get a story out. Yeah, I ain't rocking with that, but I am curious to know what your thoughts are on if this is the future of a Grand Theft Auto going forward. Would love to hear from you. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story. And this next story I actually got from, matter of fact, I didn't even write this one down, but I did get it from PlayStation Lifestyle. And this is actually a pretty quick story. It's an insider that is claiming that Fair Games, this game is actually being reported to be delayed until 2026. Now, in a recent episode of Game Mess Decides, Again, man, my guy, I don't know this brother. If you ever listen to this, man, Jeff Grubb, man, I really like you, brother. Man, shout out to Jeff, man. I really like this brother. Oh, man, I believe the stuff that he says. But, so again, it was a recent episode of Game Mess Decides where the host, Jeff Grubb, he shines some light on the current situation with Haven Studios, a competitive heist game. Now, although not much is clear, Grubb did he claims Fair Games is not releasing this year and has been slid into next year. He said, quote, "No Fair Game this year. As far as I'm aware, it has been pushed to 2026, end of quote." So for anybody that was looking forward to this, doesn't look like it is happening. Haven Studios, yet again, pushed back to next year. I'm going to tell you, I am just a bit concerned about Sony, just a little bit. I'm going to tell you, I've been sitting up here pretty positive, very positive about PlayStation, this whole generation. But I will say that last year, I can't hold it against them. They gave us games. They gave us a Game of the Year winner in Astro Bot. They gave us Stellar Blade. I mean, they ain't give us nothing. We had to pay for this stuff. But, Stellar Blade was exclusive. The Final Fantasy 16 was exclusive. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. That was exclusive. We had a lot of games that were released only on the PlayStation, and I give them nothing but respect for that. It was awesome. Last year was a really good year. But I will say, God, dog, all of these remasters, things of that nature, man, Days Gone remastered, The Last of Us remake, The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, jeez, me, Christmas. I don't know, and now Fair Games being delayed till 2026. Now, I'm not going to make a big deal out of Fair Games. I wasn't looking forward to it. I could care less. But there were some people that were interested in the game. I'll tell you, my only concern about it is what is going on with the scheduling? What's going on with the scheduling over at PlayStation? Now, again, I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here. PlayStation has still been delivering time and time again. But it does get to a point where certain things you keep hearing, I think it's only natural to start wondering, well, what is really going on? And like I said, I do not like the situation that Xbox is going to have their games going over to PlayStation either. That's going to give them even more time. They're going to have even more games coming to their platform. Man, shucks. I can already see it as a situation where they are not going to be in a rush to have their games released. They are going to be Rockstar 2.0. If they keep messing around, they are going to have their games come out so sparingly because they're going to have so much third-party support, so much first-party support, so many deals when it comes down to exclusives. Because with Xbox getting out of the game, who is really their competition? That's the only thing that makes me nervous. So when it comes to them really getting out there and trying to work and hustle and, try to get us for our money, try to earn our dollars, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I can really see Sony becoming very stagnant. And matter of fact, the story that we're going to go over, it just shows the magnitude to how far Sony is willing to go when it comes to some of their antics inside of the gaming space. But the fact remains, of course, this is still a rumor, hasn't come down the pipe from Sony officially. But as it stands, according to Mr. Jeff Grubb, again, if you were excited about Haven Studios' upcoming game, Fair Games, it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year. but will come out sometime in 2026. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's move on into the next story that I actually got from Comic Book. So I know that we've been hearing constant rumors. Oh, man, got to go back to Sony with this one. But I know we've been hearing constant rumors about God of War for the last few weeks. And we thought something was going to happen at the last State of Play event. I was surely, I just knew something was going to be there. But, well, you know, to my dismay, nothing did happen at that event. So this actually brings us to something that is happening with California-based art gallery Nucleus. Now, they have announced, and the two will correlate eventually, but let me just go down this a little bit. So, like I was saying, the California-based art gallery Nucleus announced the God of War 20th anniversary exhibition. Now, this is going to happen between the 15th and the 23rd of March. Fans will be able to check out tribute art, concept art, and memorabilia from over 30 artists. Now, there will also be an anniversary panel with the developers on the 15th of March at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Now, like I said, let's just bring all of this home. So, Insider again, man, I just shouted him out, but Insider Jeff Grubb suggested in a Blue Sky post that a reveal for the rumored God of War collection for PS5 could happen around the anniversary event happening at the Nucleus. Now, Jeff said this, and I quote, "I think that those God of War remaster rumors just jumped the gun a little bit. That stuff will happen closer to this," end of quote, meaning it'll happen closer to the Nucleus event. And now this is the thing, just to put things in context. Now, the game release. Now, this is the original God of War. The original God of War released on March 22nd, 2005. Now, let's take things, how about this? Let's take things in a different direction. Matter of fact, let me see something. I'm about to pull up my friend Google. You know, Google is our friend. I want to check something out. When does spring begin? All right, it says spring. Hold on. Let me do that again. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's do it again. When does spring begin? All right, it says, all right, spring begins Thursday, March 20th, 2025. Through Friday, June 20th, 2025, which of course must be when summer begins. All right, so now check this out. So that's March 20th, 2025. Now, that's interesting because we know Sony's next State of Play is going to take place in the spring. So could we also possibly get an announcement there? Let's say, okay, so this situation with them celebrating the 20th year anniversary, which is happening at this gallery Nucleus exhibition that's happening in California. Let's say they're there, they're celebrating God of War 20th anniversary, and they're showing you all of the artwork. Memorabilia is going to be there, concept art. Like they said, even a panel of developers that worked on the game are going to be there as well. Let's say they get through all of that. That's happening again from March 15th to the 23rd, which is a day after God of War actually released. So let's say, okay, that happens and we still don't get an announcement. We know that next State of Play is happening in the spring. Now, granted, is it happening in the early part of spring, which we know is going to be March 20th, 2025, or will it happen a little after? You know, either way, either one of those events could set up something for this alleged God of War 20th anniversary, which is going to include all three of the original God of Wars, two of the SPs, Thinking of drum machines, doggone. 2 of the PSPs, the PSP versions of God of War Chains of Olympus, I think one of them was, can't quite remember. And, the God of War that released on PS3 that wasn't very, it didn't come out to a lot of, how would you say, a lot of fanfare. Ascension. God of War Ascension. All of those are supposed to be in one pack, supposed to be remastered, possibly a remake. Not sure how that's going to work, but it could be one of those situations where it could be announced at the next PlayStation State of Play. So I would definitely look out for the month of March, which is coming up in a couple of days. Again, it's so many different rumors about God of War right now. So many different things. He's going to Egypt, then he's going back to, to Greek mythology as a younger Kratos and all of this other stuff. We have no idea where this thing is actually going to, but again, nothing is for certain. We can only hope and just go off of the rumors for now, but it does seem like things are going to possibly culminate when it comes down to, March, which is again, the game's 20th anniversary month. So we'll see what happens and keep our ear to the ground as the days, weeks, and months go by. But let's go ahead, though, and let's get into the next story. Well, this isn't, oh my goodness. This isn't really a story. This is just on a side note. Developer Dead Toast Entertainment, or y'all may remember them for one of my favorite game, God dog, My Friend Pedro. Goodness gracious. That game was so awesome. Oh my God. Man, that game had me. Oh, that game had me. Game was absolutely amazing. So those guys over there at Dead Toast Entertainment, who made My Friend Pedro, they have a new game. Man, they got this new game being released again on Switch and PC, and that was the same kind of strategy they did when it came to My Friend Pedro. Came out on the Switch and the PC first, then later down the line came to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. But now they have a new game out, and this game is called Shotgun Cop Man. That's right, it's called Shotgun Cop Man. Now I got to say, that title right there, brother. Oh my gosh. Title had me tripping a little bit. I said, what is that? Oh man, these jokers right here, man. Shotgun Cop Man. Now to me, graphically, brothers, it took a huge step back for me. It looks nothing like My Friend Pedro. My Friend Pedro might have been a AA game, but graphically, that joker was nice. Oh, it looked good. Gameplay was great. The bullet time was awesome. Oh, it was so exceptionally great at what it did. But when I look at Shotgun Cop, man, golly, your graphics have just taken a huge step down. But I will say the one thing about this game is the gameplay looks fire. The gameplay looks so darn fun. It looks so doggone good. Graphically, it took a step back, but that fun factor looks like it is going to be incredible. It looks like it's going to be a very, very fun game. It really puts me in the mindset of My Friend Pedro again, just gameplay mechanics wise. Definitely not graphics, but that gameplay looks like it's going to be crack cocaine when that game releases. Now, again, I was hoping for a sequel to My Friend Pedro. I don't know where the story could have went after you beat the game. If you beat the game, you know what happened. But I was still like, man, I think you can make something work. You can make something shake out there, doggone Dead Toast, please, for people like myself. But nah, they went in a different direction. So if you want to check it out, Shotgun Cop, man, check it out on YouTube. Now, the thing is, though, this was very cool. It's times like this I kind of wish I had a PC. Nah, I don't wish I had a PC. I take that all the way back. But for anybody that does have a PC, a demo is available right now for you to be able to play it to see if it's a game that you would be interested in purchasing on Steam. But a release date hasn't been, a release date hasn't been put out there yet. So we'll have to wait and see when it's actually going to release. But yeah. Doggone, I was hoping for a sequel. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into another story that I actually got from Notebook Check. So lately, certain retailers, now this is just a bit of a, how could I say? This is just a bit of a situation where you just can't believe everything that you see. And I think we all know that. But lately, certain retailers have been putting up the alleged prices for the Nintendo Switch 2. Like Costco, it was a French electric store named FNAC who put up prices, and even Best Buy had the console. They were talking about it was going to be $350 in a Google search, but since they have actually taken that down. But according to a former Nintendo employee, his name is Sean, who appeared on a YouTube podcast named Kit and Krista podcast, he revealed that retailers are in the dark almost as long as gamers when it comes to the Switch 2's price. Now, we also casted doubt on a Canadian store having a placeholder price of $499 CAD, price, so $500, I guess, Canadian. Now, again, Sean, this is the thing. He no longer works at Nintendo, but he was asked his opinion on when the Switch 2 would release, and he believes it could debut in June, but he also said it would arrive in his thoughts. He thinks it's going to arrive at least before the end of summer. So anywhere between, I guess, June, July, August, and maybe up till September. Because with summer, man, this is terrible. I live in the States, but I don't know when these actual seasons end. When does summer end? Yeah, September 22nd, 2025. All right. So it has up until September, according to him. And I do believe the same thing. We've heard reports that the game is certain games are going to release over the summer. So it'll be very, very interesting to see if this does happen. But I don't think any of us were ever believing that these retailers actually had a drop or understood what the price was really going to be. Nobody's going to know until April 2nd. And knowing Nintendo, they could possibly string us along even longer, than April. Maybe sometime in May or June, maybe they'll have a show and then they'll release the price. But then again, that wouldn't make sense because you can't release the price and then try to release the product at the same. I don't know, man. Gaming is in such a crazy, interesting spot right now. I would have never thought that a console would ever even release in the summer. Before Nintendo, I never thought a console would release in March. So they're just unorthodox when it comes to this stuff. So I don't know. They may have a show in May or June and Nintendo Direct, tell the price that day and be like, it's available 2 weeks from now. Pre-order it. Who the heck knows? But the thing is, again, none of these retailers really know the price. They're just as much in the dark as we are, maybe a couple of days ahead of us. They may get a drop on something. We've seen this from other retailers like Walmart. Now, it hasn't been consoles per se, but we have seen it with games where certain games, before they were actually announced, Walmart, I think Canada, they would get the drop on a couple of them. And that's how we found out about Rage. I think, what was it? Rage 2 or some obscure game. I don't think any of us really believed was real. And it ended up being true, but they got the drop on it. So yeah, the games are a little different, but we also know that Nintendo, they can be very, very secretive and, at what they do, and they will sue you at the drop of a hat. You drop that release date before you're supposed to, man, ain't no time. They will sue the heck out of you. So I don't think Nintendo is really gonna, play those games about having their release date actually released before they're ready for it to be released. So just as a bit of a it's not even cautionary. This is gaming at the end of the day. But just, for some people that may believe that these retailers really do have the drop on what the prices are going to be, just know that they don't. They're just as much in the dark as we are. Sorry for repeating myself with that. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from True Achievement. So this is in quick news. Now, we talked about it. This was a couple of weeks ago. But just as a reminder, tomorrow, February 24th, Xbox will be having their ID at Xbox Showcase. Now, it's going to feature around 15 studios, and it's going to start at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you are interested. I'm only looking forward to this one game, and I'm hoping they show it, and I can't remember the name of this game. It was a future... How can I explain it? It was a side scroller, kind of reminded me of, like I said, Flashback. It looked great. It was pixelated, but it looked beautiful. I cannot remember the name of the game. It was supposed to have been out maybe about a year, close to 2 years ago. They showed it off a few years ago, and I've been waiting on it ever since, but nothing has been said about the game thus far. So I'm hoping that with this being an ID at Xbox Showcase, this game would fit perfectly into that showcase. I'm sure some of y'all know the game that I'm talking about. It's the retro looking game. Side scroll, he had a sword or whatever, some kind of weapon. Man, that Joker looked like he was getting busy. I'm hoping that game is here. I would love to see more of the progress on that game. And you know what? This is the answer. Oh, man, I had to bust out laughing. I apologize for laughing just, out the blue. But it just occurred to me that Phil Spencer had an interview where he said from this point on, any games that are going to PlayStation or Nintendo, he's going to have the doggone sticker up there coming to PlayStation and Nintendo. Also, what the world is going on here, man?
Move this man!
Oh, man, Phil Spencer said, look, man, I'm tired. All right, I'm tired of y'all asking me 100 questions. Is this game going to PlayStation? Is this game going to Nintendo? Where's this game going? That brother said, I am beat. I'm going to tell y'all at every game showcase, yeah, this is going to this platform, that's going to that platform. Dang, they didn't beat Phil Spencer down, man. They didn't beat this poor man down. He said he can't do it no more. What the world is going on? This is terrible. This is terrible only because, listen, I don't even have an Xbox. I know I don't have an Xbox. And people are going to say, why are you so concerned when you don't even have the platform? The reason why is because I want to own the platform. I want to have a reason to own it. But they just keep giving me reasons not to. Now, even on the indie side, it's a possibility. If, according to Phil Spencer, whenever it comes to their shows, they're going to make sure that they're showing what other platforms is coming out for. I don't even have to wonder, where's that going? I wonder, is that coming over? He's going to tell every PlayStation and Nintendo owner whether the game is coming over or not before it's even released. Man, I tell you, wow. I understand corporations are corporations. Ain't none of these jokers our friends. They just want us for one thing, and that is money. And I get it. And I'm not mad at it. Y'all know how I feel. If I give you my money and you give me a great game, it's a fair trade. It's not a robbery. I 100% stand by that. But darn, when you have somebody that has invested into your ecosystem hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to get into your ecosystem, and once they're there and at your show, when you're looking to see what games you're going to get, you have to also look and see what other games the competition is also getting. It's like, man, that's got to be. If I was a Xbox owner at this point in the game, I get it, man. It ain't no loyalty. It's business at the end of the day. These people don't know us. They don't care about our feelings and how we feel about things. But doggone, Phil Spencer said certain things over the years that it just goes completely against what he's doing today. He said in an interview that he didn't want people to question what games are going where. He wants any Xbox gamer to know that they're being put first and that he wants to set a precedent that any Xbox fan will be getting these games wherever Game Pass exists. He said that. Game Pass, last time I checked, is not on Nintendo and it's not on PlayStation. So how are they still you know what? Just a thought. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just those kind of things that make me say, wow. You know, I'm glad I abandoned ship last generation because I really felt like it just was not going to get better. But the crazy thing is, it actually has gotten a bit better. They got all these studios. They own Call of Duty. They own Elder Scroll. They own Doom. They own all of these amazing IPs. And they're just going to make sure that everybody else gets a God, dog. I'm not going to say it's ridiculous because you do have Game Pass. At the end of the day, you got Game Pass. You get the game for, $24.99 a month. You get the games. That is a value. But, man, they said, wait. I didn't write this down, and I love giving the credit where the credit is due. Shout out to Z and the Broadband Bullies for this, because I got this from them. Shout out to that good brother. Now, they had went over something. This was a couple of days ago, and they said that, you know what, let me double check. Did Xbox Series XS sales fall? It didn't. It didn't even do it right. Hold on. Have the Xbox Series XS numbers fell? All right, it says yes, sales of the Xbox Series. Hold on. Yes, sales of the Xbox Series X and S have been declining. And the consoles are selling more slowly than PlayStation 5. All right, we need something a little bit. Oh, shucks. Here it is. It says in 2024, Xbox Series XS sales fell by almost 50%. Oh, shucks. 50% in the USA. 50%. God darn it. So that wasn't a lie. That was not a lie. But wait, it gets worse. Oh my gosh. Xbox Series X and S declined by 38% compared to 2023. So it just keeps going down more and more. It says in the US, the Xbox Series XS is also selling more slowly than the Xbox One. So it shows that this strategy, it's not what the people really want. If you're telling people that they can get your games other places outside of your console, then nobody's going to buy your console. And these aren't my words. This is actually an article. I will give you all the article. I'm bringing it up right now. This is from, hold on. We're going to visit, all right, the sales chart. This is off of Reddit. Hold on. My apologies. Hold on. Let me try to find it again, because I always like to give sources. What percentage is the Xbox Series X selling at? All right, according to data, 32.7, 67.3% market share, meaning the PS5 is significantly outselling the Series X. All right, I got something from Forbes here. Says the data seen above estimates that as of June 2024, a few months ago, PS5 has 61.7 million sales and the Xbox Series S has a combined 28.3. So that's old data. But again, according to new reports, they're down by 50%. 50%. And if that doesn't tell you all you need to know about this strategy and why I don't think Sony or Nintendo will go in the same direction, then I mean, they're the blueprint of what will happen to your company. Well, not necessarily your company, but to your gaming division if things go this way. Now, I understand that Shuhei Yoshida, he had an interview and he talked about that, you know, them PlayStation putting their games on PC. Now, this isn't going to be a direct quote, but something, you know, kind of similar to this. He said it kind of prints money for a PlayStation to do so, you know, to put their games over there. It prints money for them and it gives people the chance to play these games. And hopefully, you know, when a new game comes out, it'll make that PC player want to get a PlayStation 5 because they'll be so excited to play the sequel. So, I mean, that's not new news. We've heard that for months upon months upon months now. But that is a totally different strategy versus going day and date on PC. That's not going to be a good strategy because, again, you're going to do something very similar to what Xbox has done and has not been successful whatsoever at that strategy. So this is just just very, very interesting. And man, we'll see what happens. But again, all of this stemmed from me just letting y'all know that tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Xbox will be having their ID at Xbox Showcase. And you just might see some Xbox games coming to place. Oh, man, coming to PlayStation on that show. I will say, though, PlayStation definitely didn't stick the knife in deeper when it came to Xbox games coming over to PlayStation, because even though we know Forza is coming, Forza did not show up on their stage. Even though the rumors, and rumors we know can be true or very, very false, is that Starfield is coming to the platform, and that also did not show up during their show. So it seems like even for them, they're like, I'm not trying to cross mingle with you. Look, I get it. Yeah, it's coming over here. Yeah, we're going to sell it. And I'm sure our player base will enjoy it, but I'm not doing advertising for it. I'm going to leave that up to you. And I say good for Sony for keeping the doggone beef going. I love it. I absolutely do. But let's go ahead, though, guys. And let's get into the next story that I actually got from VGC. So, oh, man. Now, I was just talking about PlayStation, but I will tell you this. It looks like PlayStation 5 is not selling at the same clip as the PlayStation 4 generation. So, according to Piscatella, at this period, in the life cycle sales, PS4 is outpacing the PlayStation 5 by 1.5 million units, selling at this point in time, last generation, they sold 76.5 million units of the PlayStation 4, while the PlayStation 5 has sold 75 million units. And we also know that these numbers do include the sales of the PlayStation 4 Pro because Sony included them in their latest earnings result. Now, some people will say that this is bad. Sony is going down, or the ship is starting to burn. They're going down like the Titanic. Console sales are slowing down. Nobody wants a console. Consoles are outdated and people want to be on PC. All of these different things that people are going to say. Everybody wants an Xbox now, even some people might say. But I'm thinking about it from a logical standpoint. Now, granted, PlayStation 4 at this point in time, we're what? Going on 5 years into this generation's life cycle. By this time, the PlayStation 4's price had already been dropped. Now, I don't want you to take my word for it. Let's look it up. When did the PlayStation 4's price drop? It says the price of the PlayStation 4 dropped in 2015 and 2016. So you figure it says October 1st, 2015 in North America, the price of the PlayStation 4 dropped by $50 to $349.99. They talked about the UK numbers. Then it says in 2016, September of 2016, the PlayStation 4 Slim was introduced with a launch price of $299 for the 500 gigabyte model. So there we go. Two very good price drops, very reasonable prices. $349.99 and then a year later at $299. We are not getting those price drops this generation. Not even close. I mean, we've got what, one price drop, but it went right back up. I mean, what, PlayStation 5 is still, I think it's still $500. How much is the PlayStation 5? Shucks, man, that joke is, well, a digital you can get for $419.99, but the PlayStation 5 Slim is $5. Well, that's a bundle. They got a lot of bundles here, $589, $499. Yeah, so it's still $499 for the Slim model at Target. $500. No real price drop. Then you got the PlayStation 5 Pro. That's $700. $700. So these prices are from $300, $200, from $150 to $200 more than they were at this time last generation. And we got the economy that we have right now. Jeez. I mean, it is a tough time out here. So just the fact that they have been able to sell this many consoles in this kind of environment, as far as, you know, this economy, they really aren't doing that bad when you consider that the price drops have not been there. When you consider, unfortunately, people being in situations where money is tight. Look, I got to get food versus going out or getting the game, or, you know, I got to get gas for my car versus going out on a date. I mean, these are the kind of days that we are living in. Very, very tough times when it comes to money, especially if you have a family. Again, I don't have kids. Thank God I don't have kids. Man, I have to say, if you are a parent out there today and you are taking care of your kids, man, salute to you, because it is a tough environment out here. It's hard for me, and it's just me and my missus. That is it. And, you know, we you know, thank God we're okay. But, man, I just don't know how families are making it. So when you talk about having people that have a family, you have children, you have a spouse, you have people that are dependent on you. Here in Baltimore, our BG&E bill is crazy high right now. It is stupid high. We're talking about people with bills that went from $300 up to like $700, $800 over the winter. And BG&E is talking about, well, it's because it was so cold outside that, you know, we had to charge more because you were pumping more heat. And I'm like, man, that wasn't even the case. So I'm just simply bringing that up to say that in this kind of environment, for the PlayStation 5 to have sold this many copies, well, not copies, but units, and they're only 1.5 million behind, being as much as $200 more than the previous generation, That is not bad at all. That is a win, I would say. I would say that is a real win that they're able to do this well in this environment, and not to mention that they haven't been, I mean, look, I got to be fair, man. They haven't had as many games from first party releasing at the clip that they did last generation. Granted, they've had God of War Ragnarok, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, one of my favorite games of this generation, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Returnal, as well as a couple of other games, Astrobot. They've had games. You know, I'm not saying they haven't. It just doesn't seem to be at the same clip, but they do have the quality, though. Amazing games, you know, but just that based off of how well they're doing as far as their sales go. People want these games. That's why they're buying them. And the PlayStation 5 is, I mean, respectfully, it's a darn good ratio at 75 million. So I think they'll continue to do well. As soon as a big price cut happens, you gotta remember, like I said, and I know y'all heard me, and sorry for repeating myself, but I'm just thinking we're 5 years in, going on 5 years, and we have not really had a price cut yet. That's just insane. This has to be a first. I mean, PlayStation is really on their Nintendo stuff right now. Because we know Nintendo, they don't give a doggone. The Switch is still $300. I think it's 100-year-old doggone technology inside of that thing. And they're still trying to sell it at full. They ain't trying, they selling it at full price. So yeah, they've done pretty well, you know, especially just based off of the circumstances that they're dealing with. But you might feel differently. I'm always excited to hear from y'all if y'all want to chime in. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from VGC. So Phil Spencer sat down with Xbox Era to do an interview and brought up a game that we haven't seen from or heard anything about in years. And y'all have probably figured out what game this is, and I'm not going to keep you waiting. It was Everwild. Man, we saw that game so many doggone years ago. I forgot about it. I thought it was canceled, but he talked about it. So the interviewer asked Phil to name the in-development games he's most looking forward to. And Phil said this. He said this, and I quote, "I'll go back to what I said earlier. Yeah, State of Decay is just one of the franchises I love back from the original one. So that one stays on board. I do think the work that Double Fine's doing and how Tim kind of solicits feedback from the team. And the other one I'll say, because I was recently out at Rare, it's nice to see the team with Everwild and the progress that they're making. It has been a while. And we've been able to give those teams time in what they're doing, which is good, and still have a portfolio like we have. It's like a dream that Matt and I have had for a long time. So it's finally good to be there. We can give those teams time." End of quote. So like I said, he actually brought up, Everwild. They're making progress. He's happy that they were able to give them the time that they needed. He's glad that their portfolio is looking as good as it is. And this is a dream come true for him and Matt, you know, to be able to give the team, you know, this much time to, you know, really do what they need to do to make the game be what they really want it to be. So, I guess that is a good thing. Because we do understand that at one point in time, we don't really hear about it too much now. Not saying that it doesn't exist in the industry, but crunch was a big thing a while ago. But we don't really hear about teams crunching as much, and I think that's a good thing. I understand that we all have jobs where we got to crunch. I'm a truck driver. Trust me, I understand and know when it comes to having to get the freight to where it needs to go, it's like, look, it could be bad weather out there. It could be a storm. We need you to get there, do everything you can to get there. Now, I'm not going to say that my company puts me in a danger zone, because they don't. They say if it's too much for you to handle, then pull over. But if you can make it, We really need you to get down there and make that happen if by any means it can. So I understand that, sometimes you get put in positions that are very uncomfortable. We all have, and it's just part of the job, especially depending on what kind of field your line of work is in. It can be very stressful. And that doesn't seem like that's a thing that we really hear about too much in the industry today. I mean, like I said, Phil said that he's glad that he was able to give them the time that they needed. It's been a long, long time. What's it been, about 6 years since we saw Everwild? Hold on. I would love to know, when's the last time we saw this game? When was the video game Everwild premiered? Hold on, it said it wrong. When was the Xbox game Everwild premiered? It says the game Everwild was first announced in November 2019 during the Xbox X019 presentation. God, dog. So that's been 6 years ago that we actually saw it. So yeah, it's been a long, long time. But they're still working on it, which is great news. But I also, like I had read just a little earlier, also found it interesting that it does look like Tim, he's back at work with Double Fine. They're actually doing some work on a new game, which I'm sure a lot of us thought it was time, for us to see something on what Double Fine has been working on. Psychonauts was quite a few years ago, and, we haven't really heard much from them. So just to hear that they're still at work and they're working on something, he's talking about he solicits feedback from the team. So obviously it's something that he's working on right now, because the guy did ask him, to name something. Let me find the actual quote. Yeah, to name the in development games he's most looking forward to. So it says the Double Fine definitely has some game in development right now, and possibly that could be something that we see a little later on this year at the Xbox showcase. I'm very, very interested in that. Psychonauts was up for a Game of the Year award, and that's an Xbox studio. Hold on, give me 1 second. Pardon me. That is an Xbox studio, at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm glad to hear that they're back at work. Rare's still working on their game. I don't know whether to like the game or not. Have no idea what Everwild is. In my mind, though, I will say when I first saw it, I said, man, this might be an online game. This might be some kind of online situation that I'm not going to touch. So hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's something that has a campaign, a story, that I can enjoy. But we will definitely see what happens with this in the near future. But let's go ahead, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from VGC. So this next story, I can admit that I can tell you I'm grasping at straws with this one. But CD Projekt Red, they posted a few job openings for the next Cyberpunk project. Now, one of these openings said successful applicants will be expected to, quote, work in close collaboration with the systems design team to create the most realistic and reactive crowd system in any game to date, end of quote. Now, like I said, I'm grasping at straws. But between Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3, which both of those games, to be fair, I didn't finish nothing.
Who's this man?
Oh, stop. I know I didn't finish them, so it might come off as disingenuous. I get that. But the fact of the matter is, man, those two games were awesome. And I was playing Cyberpunk 2077 on the Xbox One. I haven't even got the PlayStation 5 version yet, but I was such a fan. I loved the games. Just didn't get a chance to finish it, man. The Witcher 3 is 500 hours long. I was trying to get to another game. The Cyberpunk 2077, I think at that time I got the PlayStation 5 and I was like, man, I got to see this game a little later. Never got around to getting the updated version, but I'm a fan of the studio. So I'm always interested in what's going on over there, which is why, again, I'm grasping at doggone horse hairs with this one. With me talking about the team that's trying to design the most realistic and reactive crowd system to any game to date. Now, I don't know exactly what that means. I don't even know what that looks like. I mean, but maybe it could be a situation where maybe you could talk to every NPC. Maybe you see him walking, holding hands with the girlfriend, and maybe you can just say, hey, I would like to take your girlfriend on a date. I don't know. I'm really grasping. I don't know what it could mean. I mean, because I think about NPCs in today's games, and they pretty much do a lot of things realistically. I mean, even in last generation with, what was it? Mafia 3. You were seen in a neighborhood that you wasn't supposed to be in, man, jokers. I'm calling the cops. They called the police on you. First, I thought it was a joke. I'm like, man, please, ain't no cop coming. They made that phone call. I'm talking 2 minutes later. You hear the siren. I'm like, oh, I got to get the heck out of here. It was great. Now, if you shot them before they got to the phone, that phone call never happened. So it's like, man, that's cool. That's like really good NPCs. That's good crowd control, to kind of make the game feel realistic. It's times where in Grand Theft Auto, you punch somebody, they'll punch you back. You get them out the car. Sometimes they might fight for the car. I don't know. I don't know if too many people fought. Yeah, every once in a while, somebody might fight you for their car, to try to put up a fight, something like that. So I don't know exactly what they could do when it comes to making the most realistic and reactive crowd system in any game. How does that even look? I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't know what that would be. Will they be doing jobs on the side of the road? I mean, we've seen that. So that's why it really, really piqued my interest. Like, what could this entail? What kind of technology are they trying to work on to make the crowd that much more realistic than what we already have? I'm very, very interested in this, but that wasn't the only thing that was said. Now they did say that the development for Cyberpunk 2077 sequel, which is called, we know it as Project Orion, is being headed by CD Projekt Red's new North American arm, which has studios both in Boston and Vancouver. Now, the studio that's working on this did say that the game's development outside of Europe means Cyberpunk 2 will be more authentically American, which could be very interesting as well. Like I said, when I played Cyberpunk 2077, I never thought of it as this is a real American game. I didn't trip on that. It was just a real dope game. I enjoyed the story that was being told. I really enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed the characters. I really was having a great time with the game. With the people were talking about the different technical problems that they were having. Yeah, I mean, man, the game crashed on me once or twice. Frame rate was probably running at about 13 frames a second. I mean, darn, it was rough at certain times, but the core of the game was fun. It was a lot of fun. So that's all I really cared about. I mean, it will be interesting to see them handing the reins over to pretty much a different arm of CD Projekt Red, both teams being out of Boston and Vancouver, to see what their take on Cyberpunk 2077 will be, when it actually releases. But we will see. And hopefully when it does happen, they will give us more of a breakdown of this most realistic and interactive crowd system that they're actually working on, but we shall see. But let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story. And matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, this is our final story for this week. So I actually got this from Yahoo Tech. So Sony Oh, yes, sir. They are being sued. And this time it's over PS Store prices. So this news comes from Dutch outlet Tweakers, which I've reported some of their stories quite a bit. But they claim SIE is abusing the market for its digital games. Says that PlayStation games are only available digitally. Man, I'm all tongue-tied. They're only available digitally through the PS Store and cannot be purchased via a code from a third-party retailer, which can be done on Switch and the Xbox. So over there, and it's Dutch over there in that part of the world, these games can be purchased by third-party retailers, both on the Xbox and the Nintendo Switch. Now, this report comes from the Dutch Consumer Foundation, who says this, and I quote, according to the foundation's research, digital games cost an average of 47% more than their physical counterparts, despite Sony having lower distribution costs. The organization argues that the closed ecosystem of the PlayStation Store, combined with Sony's dominant position in the console market, results in what it calls artificially high prices. End of quote. Now, a court hearing is expected to take place about this matter later on this year. Did y'all hear that? 47% increase. 47% more than their physical counterparts. And this is all because PlayStation has made it a point to make sure that you can't get their games anywhere else outside of the PlayStation Store. This is why I never, ever, ever wanted to be a situation where we have to rely on them to buy our games. I understand that not everybody wants physical. I get that. 100%. Okay, fine. But if it's up to them, this is Sony doing this in another region of the world. They're making it so they can't even buy the games anywhere else digitally at other stores. They're making sure that, no, if you want our games, you have to get them on our digital store. We're not giving you the option to go to a third party. This is why competition is key. This is why you should never want to be locked down to an ecosystem where the person that owns the ecosystem determines the pricing and you can't go anywhere else. I mean, this is a monopoly like no other. 47% more. And you don't think that Sony or PlayStation would try that here in the States or anywhere else on the planet if they got the chance to do it? I'm telling y'all, competition is needed. I never wanted Microsoft to get out of the space. Yes, I give them a hard time. It's because I truly loved the brand. Can't say I love it now. Like I said, I loved, past tense, the brand. And I just wanted them to do much better. I wanted them to go out there and really give PlayStation some work so that they in turn would do better. Nintendo, Nintendo is a half lost cause for me, man. They just are who they are. Yeah, I want them to do better. I want to hold them. Well, no, I hold them to the same standard. And I will say that Zelda, Breath of the Wild, that did kind of change her brother's mind a little bit. Nintendo kind of all right right now, but I still want them to do better. But the thing is, could you imagine a situation where with us having this all digital gaming future really looming on us right now, could you imagine a situation where that's all we have is for them to depend on? Now, this goes for all three, Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation. If they just have an all digital future and you can't go anywhere else outside of what they got going on, I'm telling you, these games will be $100+ because they know you can't go anywhere else. The sales, they'll probably be regular price, but if they're not on sale, they're going to get you for $100 or better. This is why also, like I said, I want physical games to be around. I don't want to be forced to have to buy games from your ecosystem. I don't want you telling me how much I have to pay for your game because you're not going to play fair. And that's most businesses. You think about insurance. Insurance is one of the few things that we are forced to have. And what do they do because they know we're forced to have it? We can't just drop it or get rid of it. If you're a homeowner, you need it. If you own a car, you need it. They will not let you get out of it. You can't decide and say, look, man, bump y'all prices. I'm going to just do it on my own. Something happens, I'll take on the cost. No. It's the law. You got to have this. And as a result of us having to have insurance, they keep raising it and raising it and raising it. Even when it's not even warranted, they raise it. Why? Because they can. And nobody is going to stop them. Nobody. Like I said, you don't have the choice. I mean, yeah, you can go around to other insurers, sure. Yeah, you can go around to State Farm. You can go to whoever's out there, Progressive, but they're all high as a darn kite. And they can do it because nobody's there to tell them no. That's all I'm saying. As long as you're forced to do something, these companies are going to take advantage, no matter what. They don't love us. We're not their friends. We're just a dollar sign at the end of the day. And like I said, that's not bad for me. I'm fine being that. Long as you're giving good product, I'm able to buy your product, and you ain't trying to kill me on the price, then we have an understanding. I'm a customer, you're a seller. That's fine. You know, we can meet somewhere in the middle. Long as the product is good and the price is good, you got me as a customer. That's good. That's fine. But when you start taking advantage, man, that's when things go left. So I'm glad that they're actually taking Sony to court for this. Sony will get high and mighty in a minute. That PlayStation 3, Sony is still in there. Don't think that thing is buried and gone because they had a bit of a scare when the Xbox was on their heels during that generation. Don't think that they up here, you know, and turned over a whole new leaf. Shucks, man, you kidding me? This shows that if they could get away with it, they would continue to do what they do, hiking the prices up 47% more than what the retailers actually sell the games for, but they won't let you buy them. Wow. Sony, y'all tripping on this one.
Boo this man!
Man, anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week. That is bananas. And y'all think Sony needs to be out here by themselves, you PlayStation fans? Y'all are crazy. Anyway, with that being said, I want to get y'all out of here. We've been here long enough, and pardon me for the long episode, but let's go ahead and let's get into the question of the week. This is the final section of the podcast, and I want to ask you guys, when should a remake be made? When should it be made? Like I said, I mean, I know I say it every week, I know you saw the question. Let's go over it officially, but yeah, that's the question. When should a remake be made? Me, Sony, God, dog, these jokers right here, man, they are really out here going for the gusto. Last of Us Part 2, they remastered it. They remade The Last of Us. Man, for me, I would say I think a game should get a remake should be at least 10 to 15 years old before you remake it. I think that right now, some of these games don't even need to be remastered. Days Gone looks incredible on the PlayStation 5. And on the 4, it looked good. Now, granted, you might get some extra frames. You may get that DualSense, though. I will say that DualSense, that's probably going to be real, real nice. I give them that. Certain features are cool, but to actually remaster a game that young, I don't think it's necessary. But I would say that I think it needs to be every 10 years. And like I said, this could include remasters as well. I'm just saying remake because I didn't want to make the title so long, so it could include, like I said, remasters as well. But yeah, if you're remaking something, it should be, 10 years old. If you're remastering something, shucks, I'm going to say 10 years old, because the way things are going in gaming right now, we're not getting those huge jumps, those huge leaps in graphics like we used to from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3, to the PlayStation 4. I would say even from PS3 to PS4, it was a nice jump, but I don't think it'll ever be like it was from PlayStation 2 and Xbox to 360 and PS3. I don't know if we're ever going to see those humongous leaps, especially from PlayStation 4 to PS5 and Xbox One to Series X and S. We've seen some beautiful looking games this generation. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is one of those. Spider-Man 2 was beautiful. Even if it was a shorter game, graphically it was amazing looking. Senua's Saga looked great, but again, it just doesn't seem to be that big leap. It's like some of the features that are better now, like the loading times are much faster. For the PlayStation 5, you have the DualSense controller. That thing is amazing, when people or developers actually use it to its full capacity. Those things are great. The resolution is better. We're getting 4K, 1440p. I mean, awesome with all of that, but all of that still, I think that a game shouldn't be remastered or remade for at least 10 years. Give it a chance to breathe. Give it a chance where people can really look at it and say, wow, yeah, that's a leap. That's a big leap. Like Resident Evil 2 remake, man, now that was amazing to see. Phenomenal. They're the kind of leaps that you want to see. Even with Resident Evil 4 to Resident Evil 4 remake, that's a nice jump. So yeah, like I said, 10 years should be about the time that it should take to start trying to remake or remaster anything. Other things that could come into play. Like I said, if you're trying to see how well a game will sell, I know that that's Days Gone's angle a little bit, to see if it'll sell enough to get a possible sequel. Yeah, that's what people are saying. But like I said, I don't know if that's even a possibility. Who knows? We'll have to see what Sony thinks about it. But I mean, you could possibly try to do it that way, but it has to be a game that it has to have some years on it. I'm sorry for repeating myself so many times, so I'm going to wrap it up here. That's the question for the week. When should a remake be made? I would love to hear from you guys. If you do want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-627-9087 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is simply theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I was your host, Keon Mitchell. And again, as always, I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank y'all. So with that being said, before we tie this thing up and put a bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until next Wednesday, because I wasn't able to record this Wednesday, when we do it again, until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.